Part 30. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 292. This inexplicable Hunyuan existence is like a nightmare hanging high above the heads of all living beings in the immortal realm. It will come at some point, but once it arrives, for the entire immortal realm, and even for the tens of millions of small worlds included in the entire world, the results are disastrous and devastating. Hunyuan, Hunyuan. How to resist such disasters? God wants to destroy my fairyland. The pessimistic and desperate mood spread among the many immortal heroes present. Faced with this sudden bad news, they did not even rise in the mood of resistance. Because, in the ancient scene just shown, they clearly witnessed how powerful the innate existence is that is superior to all acquired creatures. Even if a Delugo comes, no living being in the whole world can resist it, let alone Hunyuan who is still above Delugo exist. The Lord of Heaven, if such existences could come, all disasters would be solved. The ancient king smiled bitterly. Although he said this, he also knew in his heart that this was undoubtedly impossible. The Lord of Heaven is the existence of Hunyuan. Everyone is so insignificant in front of him. If he comes, he will naturally calm everything down. Chaos and disaster. But the other party is superior. If it were possible, Huang would have asked him to take action hundreds of millions of years ago to solve all this. How could he wait until today? Moreover, they have no way of making him take action against such beings. Qualifications. Immortal King, even if he is promoted to Delugo, the hope is extremely slim. Lian Wang smiled bitterly. Just now, the three immortal kings had a glimpse of Delugo's true meaning. After some realization, they gained a huge harvest. But because of this, they will know a trace of Delugo's essence and power after personally witnessing it. How difficult it is to advance to that realm. Not to mention hundreds of millions of years, even if it takes a lifetime, the hope of achieving Delugo is extremely slim. Moreover, even if you truly achieve Delugo, in that Hunyuan in front of the existence, it is not enough to see. The Dark Immortal Emperor who was infected without the slightest ability to fight back is proof. Even if it is just a trace of insignificant will left by the existence of Hunyuan, it is not something that it can resist. Billions of people, all the plans were turned into ashes in an instant. Where is Huang? After hundreds of millions of years, has he advanced to that realm? Xian Wang murmured to himself. At this moment, in their hearts, Huang may be the only existence in this world that they can rely on. Although the ancient picture was not revealed, the ancient king and others knew that Huang must have left afterward. In this world, go to the heaven and sharpen yourself. But I don't know if he is still alive after billions of years have passed. Has he achieved the position of Hunyuan? Will he come back to resist the coming dark Hunyuan? If Huang is still alive, he will definitely come back, but I'm afraid. The ancient king's voice was slightly bitter. Judging from what happened before, if there is trouble in this world, Huang will definitely not stand idly by. Moreover, his fundamental motivation for going to the heaven is to become stronger, advance to Hunyuan, and solve the upcoming disaster in this world. But now that hundreds of millions of years have passed, the history of hundreds of millions of years ago has long been wiped out, and not a single trace of the history and legends about Huang has been left. This is enough to show that during these billions of years, Huang has not returned, and is probably still in that realm, or may even have fallen. After all, although Wang's talent is unparalleled, he has achieved greatness in this world and is proud of the past and present. But above that God, it may not be anything. After all, there are several Hunyuan beings above the sky. In the boundless sea of blood, Delugo's bones were floating up and down. Even as powerful as the dark Hunyuan, he has already fallen, which is enough to prove how dangerous the place above the sky is. Even Delugo, it is not surprising at all to fall there. In hundreds of millions of years, Huang not only has to live, but also has to achieve Hunyuan. The odds are really slim. We can't place all our hopes on Huang. King Xian said in a deep voice. The darkness of Hunyuan may come at any time, and the possibility that we can fight against it is very slim and almost impossible. The only way to survive is to be promoted to Deluo and retain the fire in this world for future success. After being promoted to Deluo, it is naturally impossible to be the opponent of the Dark Hunyuan. But after being promoted to Deluo, you will have the capital to leave this world and travel in the boundless sea of chaos. By then, even if it is impossible to be the Dark Hunyuan, Hunyuan's opponents can also take away some of the creatures in this world, keep the fire, and go to the boundless sea of universe to find a new universe to survive. This is the only feasible method other than hopelessness. In the void beside everyone, Qin Mu stood silently, watching everything calmly. He naturally knew how much of a blow he would bring to these fairyland creatures by fabricating those histories, and it might even make many people unable to recover, or even lose the motivation to continue practicing. But even so, he still did it. Without huge pressure, how can we create a truly strong person? Qin Mu whispered to himself. A truly strong man must emerge from suffering and pressure. A long and peaceful life will never produce a strong man. Most people in the world are doing nothing, and Qin Mu only needs to cultivate true men. A strong person who can stand alone. In this way, even if there is pressure, it doesn't matter. Because those monks who are frightened into despair by the coming pressure and even lose the ability to practice cannot bear the heavy responsibility of protecting the immortal realm. And as long as he can cultivate a truly strong man who can rise from this huge pressure and be able to stand alone, then Qin Mu's goal has been achieved. Because a truly supreme strong man is far better than millions of mediocre people. This is Qin Mu's purpose. Please subscribe. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 293. The first way is to place all his hopes on going to the wilderness above the sky, hoping that before the existence of the Hunyuan comes, he can return to this world, turn the tide again, repel the dark Hunyuan, and return this world there was peace. The second way is to use all the power of the immortal realm to create a Deluo existence before the dark Hunyuan comes. It has the qualification to swim in the endless sea of universe and takes away most of the immortal realm creatures as fire seeds. There is endless hope to preserve this world. There are two paths. The first is to place your hopes entirely on others. The second way is to give yourself a chance. The three of them, ancient King Xian and King Lian, looked at each other and saw the determination in each other's eyes. Choosing the first path is undoubtedly the easiest. You don't need to do anything and place all your hopes on others. Choosing the second path is undoubtedly more difficult for these immortal kings who are far away from Deluo. Deluo is illusory, and it is difficult for a Deluo to be born among hundreds of millions of living beings. For King Xian and others who had just glimpsed the true meaning of Deluo, they naturally knew how difficult it was to become Deluo. However, even so, the three of them still chose the second path tacitly. Because, although there is little hope of becoming a great Luo, one has to place all their hopes on others. Even if he was the one who saved the entire immortal realm hundreds of millions of years ago, the Xian King, Lotus King, and the Ancient King would not choose this way. Beings like them, who have been able to cultivate to this point, naturally only believe in themselves. If they have hope, they will place their hope on themselves. If King Xian and others think like this, if they place all their life and death in the hands of others, they will not be able to become the immortal king they are today. There should be several sleeping supreme beings in the immortal realm. The ancient king looked at King Lian and King Xian and said in deep thought, "There are even beings older than me here, but they haven't appeared in the world for an unknown period of time, and I don't know if they are still alive now. Next, I will try to find them and inform them about this." In the past, these old guys, like me, cared about nothing but their own cultivation, so they did not manifest in the mortal world. The governance of this fairy land also rested on your shoulders. But things are different now. This matter is related to the safety of the immortal realm and even the entire world. How can the eggs be intact when the nest is overturned? After knowing this, they will definitely not sit idly by and ignore it. I will ask them to come out of seclusion and gather all the beings above the immortal king realm in the immortal realm to prove each other's ways for promotion. The three of us will share the true meaning of Delugo that we have realized today. As long as there is a chance to be promoted to Delugo, we cannot let it go easily. So, that's really great. Xian Wang and Lian Wang looked at each other and saw the joy in each other's eyes. They have been in charge of the immortal realm for a long time, but compared with ancient existences like the ancient king, they are still inferior. In the past, Xian Wang and others, although people know that there must be a group of hidden old antiques lurking in the immortal realm, they have never seen any trace of them. With the power of the Xian Wang Lotus King, if the immortal realm is turned upside down, maybe we can find all these old guys. But such a big fanfare will definitely make the other party unhappy. Moreover, although the immortal realm has been threatened by the dark realm before, it has not yet reached the point where it is difficult to resist, so King Xian the Lotus King has also been slow to make any move. Now that the ancient king has come forward, everything is easy to say. The ancient king is an extremely ancient existence, and even among those hidden old antiques, he can be regarded as a senior. If he comes forward, the other party will definitely do it. The face of the ancient king, and this matter is indeed related to the survival of the entire fairyland and even the world. With this reason, there is no reason why those old antiques cannot hide. After all, if the entire world is destroyed by that dark king, if the Hunyuan temple is destroyed, where can it hide? These old antiques who have lived for a long time must understand the truth that there are no eggs left behind when the nest is overturned. And all the old antiques above the immortal king realm are gathered together to help each other. The Tao of Tao confirms each other and can definitely promote the improvement of everyone's cultivation. As for the trace of the true meaning of Delugo that they have understood today, King Xian and others have no thoughts of hiding it. If it were in the past, unless the two deities intersect, immortal kings who are very close friends and have an irreversible relationship will learn from each other and confirm each other's ways. Because each person's way is unique, if others know it rashly, they may be able to study it and take action, catching them off guard. For the beings above the immortal king realm, their own way is their most precious and private thing, and naturally they will not treat it easily to others. But now, all these secrets have no meaning. Being able to work together and do their best with all their strength, they can create a Delugo existence. They can still rely on that Delugo to leave this world and continue to live. But if everyone is separated from each other, eventually when the dark Hunyuan comes, no Delugo will be born. Then no one can escape. Under such life and death threats, King Xian believes that no one will deliberately hide their Tao. After all, although Tao is important, if it no longer exists, then Tao will no longer exist. Exist again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 294. The world will no longer exist, how can the Tao survive? The immortal king exists, his lifespan is endless, he is immortal with heaven, and he is the same king as the world. However, this existence in the immortal king realm, which was the envy of millions of sentient beings in the past, is now on the verge of extinction. Immortality with the sky sounds nice, but now, it is the sky that is dying. When the sky is about to die, all living things that depend on it will naturally die with it, even noble ones like the immortal king are no exception. Therefore, now is truly the most critical moment. The three immortal kings conspired in the 9 heavens. The other immortal realm heroes present behaved differently. Qin Mu saw all this. Now, his goal has been achieved. After shaping the news that the Hunyuan being was about to come and destroy the entire world has been placed under unprecedented pressure. I just don't know, under this huge pressure, how many people can stand out and become the existence that hundreds of millions of sentient beings in this world can rely on. View the current shock points. Qin Mu thought for a moment, and then called up the system panel. A pale golden panel appeared, with a line of extremely large numbers on it. After the shock of the secret realm that Qin Mu had just set up, he had actually harvested enough 20 billion shock points. 20 billion shock points. What is this concept? 10 billion shock points are needed to be promoted to the Great Luo Immortal Emperor. 8 billion shock points are needed to complete the secret realm of the Sea of Billions of World Wreckage. In other words, the current Qin Mu can not only complete the remaining secret realm, but also achieve the status of the Great Luo Immortal Emperor in an instant. There is no need to worry about completing the secret realm for the time being. The peak of combat power in the immortal realm is the Immortal King, and it is impossible to bring the remains of this part of the Sea of 10,000 Realms to the end. When someone breaks through again, they may consider completing the secret realm of the wreckage of the Sea of 10,000 Realms. Qin Mu pondered deeply. As for the promotion to Immortal Emperor, it can be completed now. As soon as Qin Mu thought, the shocking points on the pale golden panel began to flow crazily. And Qin Mu's aura also began to rise infinitely. His strength was increasing several times at a speed of almost every moment. It's rising like crazy. Although Qin Mu is now a quasi-immortal emperor, it seems that there is only a thin line between him and the immortal emperor. But this thin line is the separation between heaven and man, and it is the insurmountable gap between nurture and innateness. Tiankai. Before, he arranged the secret realm to explain the true meaning of Deluo, the mystery of Hunyuan, and the supremeness of Tai. He did not make it up by himself. With his strength reaching his level, coupled with the assistance of the system, after some deduction, naturally, we can know what a higher realm is. In other words, whether it is Deluo, Hunyuan, or the Supreme Taoist Ancestor, they all really exist. The majestic cosmic sea filled with billions of infinite universes, nature also exists. Because of this, Qin Mu's aura at this moment will be infinitely higher. Every moment is a transformation like a rebirth. From acquired to innate, the gap is too obvious. The former is like the one on the earth. A grain of dust, and the latter is the sky high above. There is no comparison between the two. As for strength, there is no comparison at all. Because although the two realms are only separated by a thin line, they are no longer the same life form. Just like the difference between high-dimensional creatures and low-dimensional creatures. In the eyes of low-dimensional creatures, high-dimensional existence is simply unimaginable, and untouchable. In the existence of Deluo, the essence of life has already transformed. In the eyes of living beings, the image is still the same as before, entirely because that is only one side of Deluo's existence, the side that can only be understood by lower-dimensional beings. Boom! The majestic aura soared into the sky from Qin Mu's body, but it was restrained by him in an instant, and it was all unified, without being noticed by any living thing. This is the result of Qin Mu's intentional protection, because if the breath of his breakthrough is allowed to radiate out, I am afraid that the entire immortal realm will turn into powder and cease to exist. In other words, if he were to go to the dark realm to break through at this moment, he wouldn't even need to do anything. The dark realm, including all the creatures living in it, would disappear instantly without any effort. However, having been promoted to Deluo, Qin Mu would no longer take him seriously in the dark realm. Would a giant dragon deliberately crush an insignificant ant at its feet? It's simply impossible. This breakthrough took significantly longer than before. But even so, after less than a moment, Qin Mu's aura finally stopped rising and stabilized. Is this Deluo? Qin Mu lowered his head, looked at his palms, and murmured to himself. They were a pair of palms as white as jade, filled with a round and full aura. But in Qin Mu's eyes, he saw each one filled with endless power. Particles comparable to the stars in the universe. And these palms are composed of billions of particles as powerful as the stars and the universe. Now Qin Mu even has the understanding that he can use just one finger to he would completely destroy the entire immortal realm without even leaving a single trace of its existence. And in a single thought, he could cut out the intact immortal realm from billions of parallel times and spaces, and then shape the universe. Creation and destruction, this is the terrifying power that belongs to the great Luo immortal emperor. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 295. Reshaping history and rebuilding the world is the power of De Luo. Qin Mu whispered to himself. At this moment, Qin Mu seemed to have figured out a small part of the origin of the system he owned. There is no doubt that shaping everything from nothingness and manifesting it is like creation. Power itself is a power that can only be possessed by De Luo beings. However, even if it is as powerful as the system, at most it can only allow Qin Mu to create things from nothingness, and cannot tamper with the memories of billions of sentient beings in the world as soon as it appears. Nothingness becomes reality. For example, if the real De Luo exists, with a thought, he can close all the timelines in this world and stand at the node when this world was created. At this time, he is the oldest person in this world is also in existence at the end of time. Even though this De Luo came to this world only after endless years of chaos after the birth of this world, no living thing in the world knows his existence. But as long as he wants to do this, then millions of living beings in the world will immediately have memories of him in their minds. He will become the truly oldest person in this world. There are legends about him in history, and his miracles can be seen all over the world. Transformation. This is equivalent to directly compiling and changing the memory and history in the minds of all living beings, and no one will think it is false. Before Qin Mu, although he had the power of the system, he could only manifest everything in his mind from nothingness. But in order for it to be recognized by all living beings, it must be recognized through a series of means. This is the difference between the real power of De Luo and the power of non-De Luo. And now, the person who has been promoted to De Luo Immortal Emperor Qin Mu undoubtedly already has such power. And there is no doubt that the system can have such power, and the existence that created it must have the power to surpass De Luo and be able to shape De Luo. The essence has been promoted to De Luo, but now there is only one last step left. Qin Mu thought, and he had arrived in the boundless chaos outside the world. This was a vast sea of chaos, completely surrounding the heavens and the world. All timelines, revealed. Standing above the chaos, Qin Mu pointed lightly with one hand, like an edict from heaven, mouthing the Tao of heavenly constitution. His every word seemed to possess a kind of supreme power. The chaos instantly began to fluctuate, and the boundless chaos exploded. In the vast ocean of chaos, there are actually long rivers of time appearing. The long rivers of time are endless, sourceless, and majestic, like giant dragons, lying across the endless sea of chaos. It is impossible to count them. How many rivers of time are there? It covers endless meaning. Even if there is an existence in the realm of Immortal King, if he were here, he would be shocked and speechless by this scene. Because in the perception of all living beings in the world, the river of time, how could there be so many rivers of time emerging when there is only one? This is the difference between acquired beings and innate beings. In the eyes of acquired beings, there is only one river of time, and history is the only one that remains unchanged. But in the eyes of De Luo beings, the long river of time is as numerous as the number of sands in the Ganges, and the possibilities of historical development are even more countless. Now, Qin Mu scolded lightly, looking at the billions of endless time rivers that stretched across the chaos. In his eyes, these time rivers were shining, and everything related to him in them was slowly peeling off and began to appear. That is the history related to Qin Mu among billions of possibilities. Each period of history is everything he has experienced in the past. But each period of history has a different direction. In some histories, he is like now, generally speaking, he rises from the bottom and arranges secret realms one after another to strengthen himself and the human race. But in some histories, he either accidentally exposed his existence and was obliterated by the Supreme Being, or there was an error in the arrangement of the secret realms, resulting in failed to harvest enough shock points, unable to improve one's own cultivation, and died in the world of old age. Or failed to use the secret realm to strengthen the human race and intimidate all races, leading to the outbreak of the catastrophe of all races, massacre of the human race, and the annihilation of the human race. These billions all possibilities are the history that Qin Mu has experienced in billions of parallel time and space, and they are all true. The thread of time is over. Looking at these billions of possibilities, Qin Mu's eyes were calm. An indescribable majestic power surged out of his body and spread to the billions of endless time. In the blink of an eye, those billions of Qin Mu in the parallel time and space seemed to realize something in an instant. His body turned into nothingness and turned into a stream of light, which shot out from the river of time and merged into Qin Mu's body. Is this deity? He has been promoted to such a realm. Wonderful, the great logo has been achieved, and the bodies of billions have become one. In my world, I haven't achieved such an achievement yet, but I didn't expect that now there is another me who has achieved great success. As the streaks of light flew out, endless thoughts also sounded in Qin Mu's mind. This was Qin Mu taking action, closing all timelines, integrating all possibilities, and achieving the only one true self. This is where De Logo existence truly transcends all living beings. All De Logo existences are unique and real, unlike the billions of postnatal sentient beings who have billions thousands of possibilities. De Logo is the only one, only me, only true. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 296. In the endless parallel time and space, billions of Qin Mu all turned into a stream of light, separated from their own world, merged into Qin Mu's body, and created De Logo's true body for him. And as the clones merged into each other, the long rivers of time also disappeared, just like the bubbles of dreams, with no trace left. The disappearance of every river of time represents a possible annihilation. And when all the time in the endless sea of chaos disappeared, Qin Mu finally fully ascended to the great Logo realm. The disappearance of all possibilities about him does not mean that those parallel times and spaces also disappear. But in that period of history, there is no trace of him anymore. It also means that even De Logo's enemies cannot figure out his whereabouts and origins. Even in the worlds where traces of him had been left in the past, the memories of him in the minds of billions of sentient beings were all removed. Now, Qin Mu's body only exists in one realm, and only one realm. And the only one who knows all this is Qin Mu himself, and no one else. Time flows, now. Qin Mu scolded lightly, as if an edict was coming from heaven. After saying that, the long river of time reappeared. But this time, only one long river of time appeared, vast and endless, and it seemed more condensed than the previous long river of time. Reality and vastness. This long river of time is the long river of time where Qin Mu's true body is. Next, it's time to compile your own steps. Qin Mu smiled softly, then stepped onto the river of time and walked towards the far end of the river of time. Endless years ago, heaven and earth were still divided, and all the heavens and worlds were still ignorant. This is the end of the endless distant years, almost reaching the origin of all things in this world. It is the truly ancient years. At this time, all spirits have not yet opened their spiritual wisdom, and in all realms, beasts of chaos that were born and raised on earth are rampant. Creatures born the day after tomorrow, like the human race, are extremely weak. They have no resistance at all when facing these beasts of chaos and can only be reduced to food rations. Some other races that have absorbed the legacy of chaos and have some characteristics of chaos behemoths have inherited part of the legacy of chaos. Therefore, although it is not the opponent of the chaotic beast, it is superior to the human race. For the human race, these are truly dark and tragic years. But the human race's spirit of resistance has never stopped. They seek the truth from heaven and earth, and want to rely on their own efforts to create a skill that belongs to the human race from scratch. And use this practice to strengthen yourself, be able to compete with the chaotic beasts and other races, and protect the entire human race. However, starting from nothing to creating a method suitable for human cultivation, this is undoubtedly a path full of danger and despair. How to create a practice? What kind of exercises are suitable for human cultivation? Starting from nothing is always an extremely difficult thing. At that time, the top group of geniuses who were slightly wiser among the human race were either visualizing the heaven and earth, or visualizing the chaotic beasts, or visualizing other races, thinking hard, practicing hard, and wanted to get out of their own way. Humanity's own path. However, creating an unprecedented path is undoubtedly extremely difficult. In the process, some people became possessed and died of depression. Someone successfully created a technique, but it was not suitable for human cultivation. It was forced to operate, and the body exploded, leaving not even a whole corpse. Of course, more people still waste their lives without gaining anything, and in the end they have no choice but to die of old age. After thousands of years of arduous exploration, the human race still has not seen the light of day. This is undoubtedly disappointing for the human race that has been sinking in darkness for thousands of generations. However, all this suddenly changed one day. That was a day that will forever be remembered in human history. According to the oldest historical records, on that day, there was a great light in the 9 heavens, golden lotuses were everywhere, and gods and demons appeared. There is a supreme being strolling over to teach the human race the Dharma. One is called the Ancient Sutra of the Sun. One is called Taiyan Ancient Sutra. Each volume of the ancient scriptures, if practiced to the extreme, can possess the power to fight against the giant beasts of chaos. And if there is an extremely talented person who can practice all 2 volumes of ancient scriptures to the extreme, he will reach another unimaginable supreme realm. Since that day, it has been the dividing point in human history. The human race never lacks talent, it just lacks an opportunity. With these 2 ancient sutras, all the heavens, all realms, and all human beings with talent can practice it. In just a few generations, several people have practiced these 2 ancient scriptures to a perfect state, fighting the giant beasts of chaos and protecting the human race. Among them, there are even a group of geniuses who, based on these 2 volumes of the Mother Sutra of the human race, visualized and created other exercises belonging to the human race. At this point, the human race is prosperous. And that supreme existence that was preached to the human race in the early days of Suga was called the Lord of Heaven in the ancient records of the human race. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 297. At the beginning of ancient times, the Lord of Heaven came down from the 9 heavens to teach the human race and protect the rise of the human race. Since then, humanity has prospered. Qin Mu wandered to the end of the history of the world and left his mark at the beginning of ancient times. The vast, endless river of time suddenly began to surge. At the beginning of the ancient world of Deluo, leaving your own imprint and traces is what all Deluo beings in the boundless sea of chaos will do. Perhaps they attained enlightenment hundreds of millions of chaotic years after the birth of the world. But as long as there is a living being who attains Deluo, then he can easily compile his own footsteps at the beginning of history and become the oldest one since the creation of this world. This is a law that spreads in the boundless universe. Don't easily provoke the oldest person in the universe. Because although the oldest one may not be powerful, the truly strong ones must be the oldest ones in the universe. And now, what Qin Mu is doing is to compile the identity of the Lord of Heaven in this world, and truly make his identity perfect. At the beginning of ancient times, who preached it? The Lord of Heaven appears, and the human race begins to prosper. Mother Sutra of the human race, Taiyan and Sun, which one is weak and which one is strong, yin and yang work together, and the world becomes emperor. The king of gold observed the Taiyang Sutra, created his own martial arts, and became the first creature in this world to be promoted to the immortal king realm. The strong man Huang of the human race collected the two ancient scriptures of the Sun and Taiyan, traveled backwards, successfully broke through the immortal king realm, and became the first strong man in the world to become an immortal emperor. Huangzhang said that the human mother scriptures of Taiyan and Sun are endlessly mysterious. Even he can only understand part of them. If he can fully understand them, he will be stronger. The Lord of Heaven, the leader of the human race, the supreme being who created the human race. 9 netherworlds and 18 realms, all realms and eternal heavens, and hundreds of millions of people, all worship the Lord of Heaven. The Taiyan Meridian and the Taiyang Meridian were coveted by foreign races, and a war broke out with the human race. When Qin Mu left his mark at the end of time in the world, the long river of time began to fluctuate, and the corresponding history also began to change. A series of misty voices echoed across the long river of history. Those are all things that have happened in history. There is no falsehood at all. They are so real. They have evolved in the long course of history and in the minds of all living beings. And with the changes in the long river of history, the immortal realm, and even the entire heavens and worlds, all places have changed. Some historical memories suddenly appeared in the minds of some creatures. In their memories, there have been long-standing legends passed down. It is difficult to describe how old these legends are, but they are indeed passed down orally from generation to generation. According to legend, at the beginning of the ancient times, there was a supreme being named the Lord of Heaven who preached for the human race. These memories just appeared in the minds of hundreds of millions of living beings, but no one doubted or thought about it. Unexpected. Because that is the real history, there is nothing false at all. Since it is true history, how can anyone doubt it? In addition to these extra memories in the minds of all living beings, some ancient ruins also began to appear out of thin air. Those are ancient temples where humans once worshipped the Lord of God. They were buried in the deepest depths of time. Now they appear and are exposed in the human world, and are once again worshipped by hundreds of millions of human beings in all the heavens and worlds. Lord of Heaven, bless my human race. Taiyan and Sun, the Supreme Mother Sutra of the human race. Lord of Heaven. Countless creatures spontaneously went to ancient temples to worship the Lord of Heaven. However, in these temples, there was only an indifferent and distant figure like the way of heaven, enjoying the worship of all spirits. It is said that at the beginning of the ancient times, the Lord of Heaven, when he arrived, the great craftsman of the human race wanted to carve the face of the Lord of Heaven so that the human race could worship him from generation to generation. But as soon as he wanted to carve it, the carved face would be erased by an invisible force. Get rid of it. The great craftsman of the human race is sincere and frightened, and already knows everything. The realm of the Lord of God is too lofty, far beyond the ordinary world, and the world cannot even see his appearance, because the face of the sky is invisible. Therefore, this great craftsman of the human race, he can only carve this indifferent and lofty back like the way of heaven for hundreds of millions of people to worship and enjoy the incense of the human race for eternity. The boundless sea of chaos calmed down again. Qin Mu stood silently, with a thought in his mind. He could see everything happening in the world. The identity of the Lord of Heaven has truly gained a solid foothold. Qin Mu chuckled. In the past, although he could use the power of the system to make up history, it was illusory after all and completely different from now. The history he made up now is completely true. He said that it happened before whatever happened, then what really happened? History is in his hands and can be changed at any time. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 298. On the independent nine heavens, in a single thought, there is a vicissitudes of life, and everything changes. Even the taboo time in the immortal king realm is nothing more than something that can be changed at will in Qin Mu's hands. Observe reincarnation with your eyes, control the fate of life and death, and survive thousands of calamities alone and remain immortal. This is the immortal emperor, this is De Luo. The changes brought about by Qin Mu's promotion to De Luo were far more than these. The border of fairyland is deserted. Just as the three ancient kings, Xian Wang and Lian Wang, were discussing how to integrate the power of the entire immortal realm to deal with the disaster of Hunyuan that might come at any time. Suddenly, a grand and majestic, cold and lofty aura suddenly rose in the sky and earth, instantly attracting the attention of King Xian and others. This breath is. King Xian felt this aura and raised his eyebrows with a look of surprise in his eyes. And the ancient King Lotus King unanimously turned his attention to the direction where the aura was rising. Where the eyes of the two immortal kings met, a cold and noble figure, dressed in white as snow, was sitting quietly cross-legged. It was the ruthless emperor. And this change in aura was caused by the ruthless emperor. Our immortal domain is about to add another immortal king. The ancient king looked at the ruthless emperor and spoke slowly. There was a hint of joy in his old voice. He was very familiar with this aura. It was like this when he was promoted to the immortal king in the past. There will be one more person who shares the same path. How wonderful, how wonderful. Lian Wang also laughed heartily. Today, there is a latecomer who has been promoted to the realm of immortal king. This is undoubtedly exciting news for the immortal realm, which is in turmoil and is in danger of overturning at any time. Who is this person? Why do I have no impression of him among the younger generation in the immortal realm? King Xian looked at the ruthless emperor, with a look of surprise but a hint of doubt in his eyes. In today's fairyland, a group of old antiques ignore worldly affairs and concentrate on cultivating the supreme road. On the bright side of the immortal realm, only King Xian and King Lotus are the most active, controlling all parties in the immortal realm and controlling the development of the immortal realm. King Lotus was injured in the previous battle, so he spent most of his time in seclusion and rarely interfered in matters in the immortal realm. Therefore, most of the affairs of the immortal realm basically fell on the shoulders of King Xian. The mediation and development between various domains, the cultivation of the younger generation of geniuses, etc., these matters are basically concerned by King Xian. As for the geniuses in the realm of true immortals in the fairyland who are expected to hit the realm of the immortal king, King Xian naturally has an idea. However, now, King Xian has no impression of the woman in front of him who is about to break through to the immortal king realm. This is quite strange. It stands to reason that anyone who can cultivate to the peak of a true immortal in the immortal realm is by no means an unknown person. There are not many masters of this level, even if they travel through the immortal realm, and they can be regarded as the backbone of the entire immortal realm. It is naturally impossible for King Xian not to pay attention to the existence of such a realm. Even, King Xian basically knew about these true immortals. But now, King Xian didn't have the slightest impression of the woman in white who was about to break through to the immortal king realm in front of him, which made him wary. Something like this has happened in the immortal realm before. There is a peerless genius who suddenly appears and keeps making great progress. Even the immortal king can't see anything. At most, he just doesn't know his whereabouts. But in the end, these geniuses who suddenly appeared revealed their true nature, suddenly turned dark, and massacred the younger generation of geniuses in the immortal realm, causing heavy losses to the immortal realm. What's more, he kept a low profile all the way, hoping to break through to the realm of the immortal king. If he had not failed to break through to the immortal king realm in the end and exposed his true nature, even Xian King would not have been able to see that these geniuses were not from the immortal realm, but were transported here from the dark realm. These geniuses who suddenly appeared in the immortal realm were basically cultivated by the dark realm with great efforts. Several immortal kings worked together to suppress their dark origins and quietly sent them to the immortal realm. Later, after King Xian's inference, the purpose of sending these geniuses from the dark realm was also very simple. One is to act as a lurker, disrupt the immortal territory, intercept and kill the young talents of the immortal territory, and cut off the hope of the immortal territory's future. The second reason is that the heavenly rules of the immortal realm and the dark realm are not exactly the same. These geniuses who grew up in the dark realm come to the immortal realm and understand the rules of heaven and earth in different worlds, which is more conducive to breakthroughs. And these are also revealed in the growth process of these fairy realms. These geniuses who suddenly appeared in the immortal realm basically made rapid progress, and some even almost broke through to the immortal king realm. King Xian couldn't even imagine what would happen if the genius from the dark realm really succeeded in breaking through to the immortal king realm, and the immortal realm side didn't know anything about it. If that's the case, fairyland is equivalent to burying a real-time bomb. If the war between the immortal realm and the dark realm breaks out again in the future, and the immortal king from the dark realm suddenly rises up and attacks the immortal king from the immortal realm side, then the result will probably not be something the immortal realm side can afford. And now, another such genius has appeared. It seems that he has never appeared in the immortal realm, and he is about to suddenly break through the realm of the immortal king. King Xian showed hesitation in his eyes. Where does this woman in white come from? Is she from the realm of darkness? Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 299. King Xian looked in the direction of the ruthless emperor with serious eyes. For him, and even for the entire immortal realm, this is definitely an issue that must be treated with caution. It would be a joy to see a new immortal king added to the immortal realm. However, what if this newly added immortal king does not belong to the immortal realm? On the side, King Lian saw the solemn look on King Xian's face, and seemed to have thought of something. His expression of joy decreased slightly, and like King Xian, his face became slightly more solemn. Are you suspecting that this person is not from the immortal realm? Although the ancient king has ignored the worldly affairs of the immortal realm for a long time, looking at the expressions of King Xian and King Lian, he has already made some guesses about what they are thinking. Yes, I have been in charge of the immortal realm for millions of years. Regarding the immortal realm, not to mention that I am in control of every move, but at least the potential immortal kings in each domain, and even the geniuses who are expected to be in the true immortal realm, all have confidence in their hearts. But I didn't have the slightest impression of the woman in front of me. She seemed to have jumped out of thin air, which made her suspicious. King Xian said slowly with a solemn look in his eyes. The dark realm has defeated several geniuses in our immortal realm, and now this woman has made a breakthrough in front of us. If she really comes from the dark realm, does she dare to be so bold? Lotus King spoke, as if he was persuading King Xian, but also as if he was persuading himself. Indeed, the dark realm was quietly sent to the immortal realm, and there were not one or two geniuses who fell because of it. And after such a long time, the immortal realm one party has also been prepared for it. It has been millions of years ago that the dark realm has never sent geniuses to the immortal realm. After all, if it can achieve miraculous results, these geniuses will naturally be valuable, but if they come to die in vain, then it is a loss-making deal for the dark realm. Those immortal kings who have lived in the dark realm for tens of millions of years or even longer will not fail to understand this truth. Moreover, if this woman is really from the dark realm, how could someone from the realm break through in front of their three immortal kings with such arrogance? Isn't this looking for death? Maybe, she came from the lower world. Lotus King thought for a moment and made a conjecture. The immortal territory is vast, and the territory governed by the immortal territory is naturally not just the immortal territory. All the many small worlds surrounding the immortal territory belong to the immortal territory. It's just that there is a lack of spiritual energy in these small worlds, and most of them cannot even give birth to existences in the supreme realm, so they are of no concern to the immortal realm. From the lower world, King Xian said to himself, but there was some hesitation in his voice. This may naturally exist, but it is too insignificant. Because the many worlds surrounding the immortal realm are not very powerful, even the strongest ones can only barely give birth to the existence of the supreme realm. Even if this woman really came from the lower world, since I don't know her existence, she must have just arrived in the fairyland not long ago. In this case, she had just arrived in the immortal realm not long ago. How could she break through to the immortal king realm in the blink of an eye? You must know that there can be no other world than the immortal realm and the dark realm that can cultivate the peak existence of true immortals. Today she has a glimpse of Deluo's true intention. Maybe she has gained something. The opportunity to break through to the immortal king realm is rare but not available. If she misses this opportunity, I don't know when the next one will be. Xian Wang said slowly. Breaking through the immortal king realm is something that can be encountered but cannot be sought for all living beings. Today, the ancient king has stirred up the long river of history and got a glimpse of the true meaning of Deluo. If the other party gains something, naturally I will not miss this opportunity. Even if it is a risk, I must take the opportunity to break through. After all, if I miss this time, I am afraid that I will never have the opportunity to break through the immortal king in this life. No one will let this opportunity go. Let him break through to the immortal king realm first, and then peek into his history and explore his past, and things will naturally become clear to him. Even if the other party really comes from the realm of darkness, with the three of us here, is it possible that a woman who has just attained the throne of the immortal king can still turn the world upside down? The ancient king said calmly, his words full of endless confidence. Even if King Xian and King Lian are not around, and he is alone, he is absolutely confident that he can subdue a strong man who has just arrived at the immortal king realm. That's all. Xian Wang nodded slowly, agreeing with the ancient king's opinion. If they take action now, they will naturally be able to interrupt the breakthrough of the ruthless emperor, but in that case, the other party will finally seize the opportunity to be promoted to the immortal king. It's wasted in vain. If the opponent really comes from the dark realm, that's fine. But what if he doesn't? What if the opponent belongs to the fairy realm side? Then by doing this, wouldn't it be a waste of the fairy realm side's combat power? Besides, blocking people breaking through the immortal king realm, the cause and effect and hatred created by this, I am afraid that only one party can die completely before they can give up. However, as the ancient king said, even if the other party succeeds in breaking through, it is only the first time he has entered the immortal king realm. Even King Xian himself is sure that he can subdue the opponent. But now, with the ancient king Lotus King by his side, there is no pressure to subdue the opponent. In this case, it is naturally best to wait for the opponent to successfully break through before exploring choice. After making up his mind, King Xian first ordered all the powerful immortals in the nearby area to leave this place tens of thousands of miles away, just in case. Then, the three immortal kings became a force and called ruthless people. The emperor surrounded the center, holding his breath and waiting quietly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 300. The three immortal kings held their breath and waited for the end of the breakthrough of the ruthless emperor. The ruthless emperor, who was in a state of breakthrough, didn't know all this. Just as King Xian said, The opportunity needed to break through from the peak of a true immortal to the realm of the immortal king can only be met but cannot be sought. With the talent of the ruthless emperor, it is only a matter of time before he breaks through to the immortal king realm. But that will undoubtedly consume more time. Here today, I can get a glimpse of Delugo's true meaning. The ruthless emperor is sure to use this to directly break through the barrier of the immortal king realm and save more time. And this is undoubtedly something that the ruthless emperor who is eager to break through to a higher realm and want to see the Lord of God as soon as possible cannot refuse. That's why she chose to break through immediately after sensing the signal that she was about to break through. Of course, the ruthless emperor made this choice because there were 3 immortal kings of the immortal realm present. She expected that even if she broke through, the other party would not be disadvantageous to her, so she did not take precautions. However, after all, the ruthless emperor had just arrived in the immortal realm not long ago and did not understand the history of the immortal realm. If she had known that several geniuses from the dark realm had arrived in the immortal realm and brought extremely painful losses to the immortal realm, I am afraid she would not have made such a choice. But now that the matter has come to this, there is no point in talking about anything else. The ruthless emperor is now completely immersed in breaking through the realm, forgetting both things and myself. At this moment, several secret realms in the ruthless emperor's body are all glowing, like billions of suns shining together, making people dare not look directly. From her body, wisps of immortal essence steamed up and appeared above her head, like 3 flowers gathering at the top. In that vague essence of immortality, the power of the ruthless emperor's soul condensed into his own image. Sitting cross-legged, the light was bright, as if it had turned into an eternal sun, shining on the ancient world in all directions. Boundary. At the beginning of ancient times, who preached the truth? The great road is invisible, giving birth to heaven and earth. The great road is ruthless, moving the sun and the moon. The great road is nameless, nourishing all things. The strong name is called Tao. Mysterious and mysterious, the door to all mysteries. Thousands of Tao are vibrating, just like tongues, trembling, and the exquisite Tao sound is like the only divine sound in heaven and earth, resounding throughout the world. Even the heroes of the immortal realm who were evacuated millions of miles away by King Xian all had a look on their faces after hearing the mysterious and profound sound of the avenue. Some even had their bodies shaken violently and started practicing cross-legged exercises on the spot. This is a supreme creation. When a strong person breaks through to the immortal king realm, he will stir up all the ways of the heavens and all will gather here. At that time, the intersection of 10,000 paths will all appear most clearly. For other acquired beings, this will be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Even beings in the same true fairyland can take this opportunity to realize the Tao and practice to a higher realm. The reason why King Xian did not send away all these powerful men from the immortal realm, but kept them separated by millions of miles, was for this reason. The opportunity to break through the immortal king realm is something you only encounter but cannot ask for. Being able to watch a strong person break through the immortal king realm will definitely benefit a lot for other strong people. Boom. The aura rising from the ruthless emperor's body became more powerful and sacred. The sounds of Zen chanting and Taoism are all played, just like the cycle of time, and like the beginning of the opening of the heavens. And above the head of the ruthless emperor, the hymn sitting cross-legged above her head also appeared to be even more holy and ethereal, invulnerable to all laws and indestructible, as if he would last forever. The various essences rising from the body are connected to the 5 secret realms, and finally all converge into the body of the little man, providing it with incomparably abundant energy. And that he is sitting cross-legged on the head of the ruthless emperor, sensing the heavens from a distance, as if he wants to break through the shackles and restraints in the dark world, and gain great freedom, and great liberation. The Taoist manifestation means that as long as one breaks through the shackles of heaven and earth, he can be promoted to the immortal king realm. The ancient king stroked his beard and said, "He was born to practice the 5 secret realms and became an immortal. Then he gathered the power of the 5 secret realms and transformed into me, which is him. When the breakthrough occurs, shackles from heaven and earth will come and block him. As long as you can break free of these shackles, the breakthrough is successful. Otherwise, the breakthrough has failed. Whether you can break free of these shackles depends on your own foundation. If your foundation is extremely powerful, you will have a chance to break free of the shackles. And if you don't have enough foundation, you can't break free from the shackles of heaven and earth, and you can't become an immortal king. Just when the ancient king's voice just fell, the void began to fluctuate, and there were chains condensed by endless symbols, showing the color of 9 colors. From the void appeared in the middle, rushing towards him who was sitting cross-legged on the head of the ruthless emperor. It seemed that he wanted to completely block it and prevent the ruthless emperor from breaking through to the immortal king realm. It turned out to be the immortal king Zhifeng. After seeing the 9-color chain that appeared from nothingness, the faces of Xian King, Ancient King Lotus King, and the 3 others were filled with shock. They really never thought that they would be able to see the immortal king today. Zhifeng appears again. When a strong man at the peak of the true immortal realm breaks through to the immortal king realm, it depends on whether his potential and foundation are strong or not. Heaven and earth will also drop different prohibitive chains to block his breakthrough. The chains are divided into 3 layers, 3 colors, 6 color, and 9 colors. The more colors there are in the avenue chain, the more difficult it is to break through. When the general immortal king breaks through, he will basically only encounter the blockade of the 3-color chain. As powerful and ancient as the ancient king when the immortal king broke through in the past, he could only barely touch the 6-color chain and the immortal king's 6 seals. As for the 9-color immortal king's 9 seals, it has been just a legend since ancient times. No one has ever seen or heard that when a living being breaks through, it will attract the arrival of the 9 immortal kings. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 301. The 9 seals of the immortal king include sealing gods, sealing law, sealing life and death, sealing creation, sealing yin and yang, sealing reincarnation, sealing 5 senses, sealing 6 senses, sealing 7 souls. The breakthrough of ordinary immortal kings will only lead to the arrival of 3 immortal kings among them. But now, the ruthless emperor's breakthrough has directly caused the 9-color chains to appear, and the 9 seals of the immortal king have arrived. How could this not surprise the 3 immortal kings, ancient King Xian and King Lotus? After all, the 9 immortal kings are an extremely ancient legend even in the immortal realm, and no one has ever seen them before. In the past, when the ancient king broke through the immortal king realm, he attracted the 6 immortal kings to descend, and almost died as a result. Therefore, he is the most aware of the terrifying power of the immortal king Zhifeng. But, how is this possible? How could a being who had just entered the realm of the immortal king attract the arrival of the 9 immortal kings? The 3 immortal kings were shocked and confused. At this moment, Qin Mu, who had closed all timelines and completely achieved the position of De Luo, returned from the boundless sea of chaos, looked at everything that happened in front of him, but there was no trace of anything in his eyes of surprise. Sure enough, were you affected by me? Qin Mu looked in the direction of the head of Emperor Henren and murmured to himself. Originally, although Emperor Henren was strong, he had only been promoted to the immortal king realm, and would not attract the arrival of the 9 immortal kings. And the reason for this was completely because of Qin Mu. As of now, the ruthless emperor is the first one to appear from Qin Mu, and the only real one. It can be said that there is a great innate connection between her and Qin Mu. The cause and effect and involvement. And Qin Mu has just closed all timelines, eliminated the possibility of countless parallel time and space, and successfully ascended to the position of De Luo. As a ruthless emperor who has great cause and effect with Qin Mu, he will also benefit immensely from this. Yudao it is when a person attains Taoism and chickens and dogs ascend to heaven. In this endless sea of infinite multiverses, if a living being comes to Delugo, then all the relatives who have a close blood connection with it will be baptized by infinite power. Not to mention breaking through the immortal king realm, that is, it is not impossible to rush to the quasi-immortal emperor realm in one go. This is a hidden gift for the living beings to achieve the position of Delugo. Although there is no close blood relationship between the Ruthless Emperor and Qin Mu. But Ruthless Emperor, the human emperor, is Qin Mu's embodied product, and has great cause and effect and connection with it. And in this world, Qin Mu does not have any other blood relatives. Therefore, when Qin Mu breaks through the mysterious avenue, then he poured all this gift into the body of the Ruthless Emperor. At the moment Qin Mu broke through, a seemingly endless power suddenly poured into the body of the Ruthless Emperor, causing her body to tremble. Then the power was as vast as the endless sea of stars, even far exceeding the total power in her body at the moment. It even had a hint of familiarity and intimacy that made her feel. And it was precisely because when Qin Mu broke through to the great Lugo realm, this power, the arrival of power out of thin air, caused the immortal king tribulation faced by the Ruthless Emperor to suddenly escalate, and he became the unprecedented 9 immortal kings. Delugo's gift is not only a hardship, but also an opportunity. How would you choose? Qin Mu looked at the Ruthless Emperor with a hint of expectation in his eyes. In fact, the Ruthless Emperor is not facing a dead end at this moment. Although the immortal King Jufeng is powerful, she is not unable to break the situation. The immortal King Jufeng is this. Heaven and earth noticed the abnormality in the body of the Ruthless Emperor and punished him for being too powerful. The source of the power in the Ruthless Emperor's body comes from Qin Mu. The power from Delugo. The gift from Delugo. Delugo, the true meaning, the gift of the Great Road. These are all powers that are superior to the heavenly way in this world. Delugo is already above the heavenly way in this world, let alone the Great Road. The Great Road is ethereal, and even above Hunyuan. The gift of the Great Road, how could a mere heavenly Dao dare to block it? In other words, as long as the Ruthless Emperor completely radiates the aura in her body and makes the heavenly Dao of this world aware of it, then all the disasters will naturally dissipate. Not to mention that it is the 9 titles of the Immortal King, even the 3 titles of the Immortal King. I am afraid that the heavenly Dao of this world will not dare to descend. In other words, the Ruthless Emperor can achieve the realm of the Immortal King without any worries, or even become a higher quasi-immortal emperor. Realm. Of course, this is also understandable. Delugo exists, and its close relatives are not all masters of cultivation, some are even acquired beings. The gift of the Great Road brings down boundless power, allowing it to break through the realm. If they can't resist the catastrophe, isn't it harming them? And if Delugo's relatives are killed, how can there be any gifts from the Dao? That's why it can be solved like this. As long as these Delugo relatives release the breath of power in their bodies, they will naturally make the heavens in all realms to avoid it. Of course, there is another possibility. That is that the living beings who received the gift are not willing to show the breath of power in their bodies, and have to temper themselves with heavenly tribulations. By then, the heavens will not be able to sense the breath of Delugo, and Dao will naturally impose heavenly punishment according to the rules of heaven and earth. If you can survive this catastrophe, your cultivation will naturally be far superior to those who have not experienced heavenly punishment. But if you cannot survive, you will naturally turn into ashes, and there will be no hope.